sure if you guys can tell that the only reason I'm doing this video, in part, is because Jeremy Johns literally just posted this exact review for this movie. And I was like, hey, that's a great idea. I should do that because, oh yeah, I forgot it was going to be Easter this weekend. And I kind of wanted to have a video done for this. And the original video that I've honestly had since like last year has still not come to fruition because I am lazy. So, there you go. That's your excuse. Let's get on to the review. Hello, this is Daniel Mart again. I'm an actor and filmmaker based out of South Florida, and for this video, first off, happy Resurrection Day, happy Easter 2026 for everybody there. He has risen, set apart. There we go. Yeah, we're talking about the Passion of the Christ, because again, it's Easter. Wow, I can't talk right now because it's Easter, because he has risen. Today is the day of resurrection. So yeah, I'm definitely also gonna be posting this after Easter, probably Monday, maybe Tuesday, we'll see. But yeah, I kind of just want to talk about this movie because why not? Literally, why not? My channel, holiday season, probably the best known Christian movie of all time. I'm trying to think what other Christian movie will probably be just as known as this one. Maybe Ben-Hur, if it counts. That's maybe the only other one I could really think of. If it count, there's the Ten Commandments. I'll give you that. That's the Ten Commandments. Okay, the remake, not the original, the remake. But yeah, let's actually get onto this review. I mean, what else is there to say about the Passion of the Christ? I mean, this is basically, in a lot of ways, a love letter. The glorious love letter to Jesus, showing what he did on the cross, how he died on the cross for us, for our sins. And, I mean, I don't really need to explain to you guys why that's so important. Regardless if you guys are Christian or not, that is just like the biggest sacrifice anyone on this planet has ever done for us people. This is one of those things that I kind of decided to do this as a tradition starting last year, so it's only year 2 of me doing this. But I've been wanting, my urge is basically to watch Passion of the Christ every single year, essentially, on Easter. Easter weekend, Easter Sunday, the day before, between Good Friday and Easter, We'll see if the tradition sticks. It's only been year 2. And yeah, this is actually only the 3rd year I've seen Passion of the Christ. Third time I've seen Passion of the Christ, but my bad. This one being the 3rd time, last one being the 2nd time, and I saw it for the first time about 3 years ago. I want to say actually, not on Easter. I think I just saw it randomly right before I graduated. It's the Passion of Christ. I really need to say why this movie is such a monumental achievement of filmmaking, even forgetting the actual biblical purpose for this movie, the actual message that it's portraying. It's still a spectacularly well done movie. Well, I can't talk right now. It's still a spectacularly well done movie from the acting, which, by the way, there's not a hint of English, which is, I mean, I think everybody knows this by now, but there's no English in this. And yes, we have movies where there is no English. I mean, look at any kind of French film or any kind of Spanish film or any kind of, I don't know, Japanese or Norwegian film. Like, of course, there are films that are not made in the English language. We get that, but when you think about it, this is a movie made by English people, Mel Gibson, Jim Caviezel. Granted, the rest of the cast is mostly not English, but the core production basis of this movie is English. And then you have 3 different languages just basically being portrayed in this movie with Hebrews, Aramaic, and Greek, as it would have been done in the original timeline, so to speak. Timeline, wow, that's a weird way to call it. But, of course, 2,000 plus years ago. So, just a crazy thing to talk about, to think about. And this is one of those things that I really wish I would know how I first reacted to this movie. Very first time, like, what were my initial reactions? Because the first time I ever watched this movie was when I was basically an atheist, essentially, or agnostic, better said. It was when I was agnostic, so I did believe there was something out there. I was raised Catholic, so I had some idea of what Christ was, and I'm like, yeah. So I'm pretty sure my initial thoughts were like, wow, this is such a powerful movie, but like, it didn't really hit me how it hits me now, if that makes sense. One of my favorite shots, which is kind of weird to say, but one of my favorite shots of this movie, it's actually when after Jesus gets whipped, they're taking him away, where one of the Roman soldiers is like, hey, we told him not to whip him to near death, and they're dragging him away, and you just see the slab that he was like hanging onto, right? And the whole ground is white, by the way. So you just see the blood, like he's being dragged away, and you just kind of see like the blood there as he's being dragged away for whatever reason. That's always been such a powerful shot for me, like, and just across all cinema, that's always been, like, one of those shots that just has been seared into my mind, just, like, after he's been dragged away, it's just the blood that's just, like, there, on the ground, on this white floor, essentially on this white slab, that he was, like, on, so to speak, because they were whooping him, and that's always been such a powerful image. It's just, like, even when I saw it as an agnostic, that's an image that just, like, stuck in my mind because it's just such a powerful thing. And it's one of those things that it's kind of crazy to think about, but what they portrayed in the film, yes, it's gory, in a sense, yes, it's powerful, But when you really think about it, when you actually go to the text, you know, to the actual Bible, you know, and the Gospels and Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, when you think about it, what we see in the film is maybe 10% of what he actually went through. Like that's the crazy thing. Like if anything, Mel Gibson watered down the story for film. He actually watered it down, and people still say it's like such a powerful thing. So if just the watered down version is already so powerful, it's so haunting in a sense. It's so goosebump inducing, I guess is the best way to word it. You know, to see what your Savior has done for you. If he's only showing about 10%, just imagine how it is, how it would have been back then, like actually watching this live. Because in the written text, it says that no, he like his guts were essentially almost coming out. Like you can see the bones coming out of his body. Essentially, you can see his innards like coming out of his body. Essentially, like they weren't coming out per se, but like you could just see it, if that makes sense. No, and here, yes, we see the whips, and yes, we see his skin getting flayed. We saw just like a 10% of that, and again, in the actual written word, it's so much more than that. It's like so much more gorier than that. It's amazing. Like that's one of those things that just it's amazing. But like just the whole story, just him praying in Gethsemane and just seeing him bleed, like sweating blood, essentially. It really puts into perspective everything that he went through from Gethsemane to him being whipped, to him going between Pilate and Herod, and them basically saying this is an innocent man. There's no reason to like convict him. You know, to like them choosing Barabbas over Jesus Christ. You know, to them, you know, carrying the cross literally on his bleeding back and taking it up to Golgotha, you know, all this stuff. It's just like, wow. I guess that's the best way to word it. It's just like, wow. He went through all of this for us. Like, and like, who are we to like not be thankful for that? And again, keep in mind that the movie shows only like 10% of what he actually went through, which is even more amazing. And like, there's so many behind the scenes stories about this movie too that I think just makes this movie so much more powerful. I think the most iconic behind the scenes story about this movie is actually with Barabbas and his actor Paul Strobel, something like that. And originally he was not a believer at all. He was just somebody who was there in the world, secular. He got the job, you know, and he was portraying the role of Barabbas. And it's one of those things you can actually see this right there on film. Like it's there in the finished product. It's, you know, he was acting and portraying the part of Barabbas, and he takes one look at Jim Caviezel as Jesus, has like a moment of just stunned silence, and then he tries to go back to the character, so to speak, like yeah, but then he keeps looking back at Jesus, at Jim Caviezel as Jesus. And the story goes that after that, he actually repented. He actually like gave his life to Jesus like a few days afterwards. I'm just like thinking that's such a powerful testimony. But there's so many other stories, maybe not necessarily testimonies, but like so many insane behind the scenes stories of this. Like Jim Caviezel, like even he himself went through hell to finish a movie in general. It's one of those things that Mel Gibson straight up told him, like, hey, if you take this role, you're gonna be done in Hollywood. Like you are not coming back in Hollywood. Sure enough, he hasn't really. He has been successful, I will say that, but like outside of Sound of Freedom, I can't think of any other Jim Caviezel movie he's done, and even with that, Sound of Freedom is still a Christian film. You know, it's Angel Studios, and now he's gonna do the Passion of the Christ 2, whatever they're gonna call it. And the reason Jim Caviezel is like, hey, when he was gonna film this, like, hey, I'm 33 right now, or I'm gonna be 33, which is how old Jesus was when he died. My initials are JC. You know, if the world hates me, who cares? You know, like it's said in the Bible, and it's said in the movie itself too. Like, if the world hates you, just remember you hated me first. And he went through hell. Like Jim Caviezel, I think he got struck by lightning, like doing the cross scenes when he was being crucified. I think he got struck by lightning like 3 or 4 times. Like, I think that's very well known. He got several infections, just like doing these scenes of him being tortured. He put his body through hell, and even with that, that's probably 10% of the 10% that's being portrayed in the film, if that makes sense. So 1%, I guess, of what Jesus was suffering. Even then, maybe not even. It's just so amazing. Like even just getting off of Jesus Christ and Caviezel for a second. Like I think this has such an incredible cast in the sense that like every person here just portrays it just magnificently, from Mary Magdalene to Mother Mary, of course, to Pontius Pilate has always been such an interesting character, even for me in the Bible, because he's always described as like this warmonger, this guy who's like, in a lot of ways, just evil, like pure evil, like a dictator. And even he is able to recognize that, no, Jesus, this guy is innocent. This guy, there's no reason to crucify this guy. And the actor who portrays him, Christos Hervok, something like that. It's a Greek name. I know his first name is Christos. It's one of those things, like, I've always found him, maybe in a sense, he's maybe portraying the character a bit too sympathetically. Because, again, in real life, the Pontius Pilate is actually a lot more evil. Is often said to be a lot more evil. So in a sense, maybe he's portraying him a bit more too sympathetic. But it's one of those things I've always found his portrayal of Pontius Pilate just to be so interesting, because he knows, and maybe part of this is also because we literally just read about Pontius Pilate at my church. But it's one of those things like he knows that this guy Jesus is innocent. He has no reason to be crucified, and yet they would rather have someone like Barabbas, a murderer, a rebellious person, you know. And keep in mind, this is such a like inside baseball type of thing, but you know, Jesus Christ, you know, Son of God, Barabbas, his first name is actually Jesus as well, so it's Jesus Barabbas, and Barabbas is supposed to mean something like, or defined as of man. So you have the Son of God versus the Son of Man, Jesus Son of God versus Jesus Son of Man, and they took the Son of Man over the Son of God. So that's just an incredible thing, and it's one of those things like even Pontius Pilate and his guards, like they're like, what is wrong with these people? Like what is wrong with them? Like why would they want this murderer, this guy who's a rebel, versus this guy who's just like trying to preach a peaceful message? Even if I don't really think much about his message, it's a peaceful message, you know. If he's a prophet, he's a prophet. If he's not a prophet, okay, cool, whatever, but he's not saying anything wrong per se. It's one of those things like symbolically, I understand like, oh, I wash my hands of him, I have no blood on my hands, but like realistically, like there is still blood on your hands because you are the ruler, but you let your potential to be liked by Caesar overrule your proper judgment of, hey, let's just let this guy go. It's just wow. You know, and I've always found his portrayal of Pontius Pilate to just be so, I don't know, like moving is such a weird word. It's always been so interesting to me. Like it's always like low key been one of my favorite film performances of all time. His portrayal of Pilate, I've always found it so interesting, honestly. And like it's kind of, maybe this is kind of a weird comparison, but it almost reminds me of from 12 Angry Men. The one juror who like says, hey, I want to go to a baseball game. It kind of reminds me of that like where they know they're doing something bad in a sense. You could kind of see the reason behind them, because as well as like, there's something deeper to them, but they just don't want to admit there's a deeper reason behind their logic. You know, that's kind of the fastest way to explain it, because I could go into a whole different conversation about that character from 12 Angry Men. That's neither here nor there. But like this is overall just such an incredible film. Like, overall, like, because it is. You know, it's telling the story of Jesus Christ. It's telling the story of how he died. You know, and it's just incredible. Look, if you're not a Christian, watch this movie, and hopefully that will convert you. It converted about a lot of people while making this film. You know, it's converted people for the past 25 years or however long this movie has been out. You know, it's such an incredible film. And yes, you could say there's maybe some issues, if you want to go down this route. Maybe there's some issues between Christian and Catholic lore because of the divinity of Mary and whatever. Look, I've never really cared about that. That could be like a whole different conversation in the wider Catholic versus Christian debate, whatever. Even then, I don't really care about those kind of arguments. I think they're kind of dumb in general, but that's neither here nor there. But like overall, it's just so great. It's such an incredible film. You know, it's such powerful. Like when you want to talk about a movie that's just powerful, you think of something like Passion of the Christ, honestly, because it's such a powerful movie. And yes, there have been other movies that have portrayed the story of Jesus. Martin Scorsese had The Last Temptation of Christ. You have The Greatest Story Ever Told. You have The King of Kings. A few movies called The King of Kings. You know, from 1927 all the way to like even last year, I think we had The King of Kings, the animated version of it. So like we've had the Jesus story told time and time again. You know, you have Franco Zeffirelli, Jesus of Nazareth, the miniseries as well. So we've had the Jesus story portrayed in like many different ways, many different avenues. But for me, and from the ones I've seen, because I'll be honest, I haven't seen all of them. I'll say that right now too. But for me, this has to be like the most powerful version of it. Like the most powerful version of it, and in a lot of ways, maybe even the most accessible version of it. Because I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'm not the biggest fan of The Last Temptation of Christ. I'll just say that right off the bat. Just the ending. I think if you know the movie, you understand why. Just the ending. I'm just going to leave it at that, you know? The King of Kings, the original one, is a silent film from 1927, so not many people are going to seek that out. And also, it's no longer really on the Criterion Collection, so take that for what you will. And then something like the Greatest Story Ever Told, that's like a 4.5 hour movie from like the 60s. You know, again, that one's a little bit inaccessible, so I would say like this is probably the most accessible one. Animated stuff, like I mean, the animated King of Kings from last year, I guess you could go through that one. And that one is probably nice. I haven't seen it yet, but that one's probably really nice. But like, because it's a kids movie, they probably had to like definitely sanitize a lot of stuff, if you catch my drift. But yeah, I mean, overall, this is such an incredible movie, and it's one of those things that it's definitely the type of movie that gets better and better and better every time you watch it. I don't often say this. I really don't often say this about movies, and I have to really think about this just in the grand scheme of just cinema, grand scope of just cinema, and my preference for cinema, like different types of movies, but I am willing to say that this is probably one of my favorite movies of all time, like just bar none. If I'm like really thinking about it, top 25 for sure. I'd say that much. Top 25 for sure. Not maybe top 25, maybe top 15. I don't know if it'd be top 10. I genuinely don't know. Like, that's one of the things I'd have to really think about it. Top 5, I'm gonna say almost basically no. I'd have to think maybe, probably not. Definitely not top 4. Top 4 is whatever's on my letterbox. Go check it out. But maybe does it squeeze into number 5? I don't know. But like I would say top 25 for sure, maybe top 15. But it's such an incredible movie. If you haven't seen it already, definitely go check it out. I mean, it's the best season to watch it right now. Yeah, I was looking into this movie. Like, I'm kind of shocked that this did not get nominated at all at the Oscars. I think it just got nominated for like best score, which the score is great. Don't get me wrong, but like, like I'm thinking, like I was thinking about this even as an agnostic. Like, I'm surprised for like how big this movie is, for how popular this movie is in a sense. It got almost shut out from the Oscars. You know, again, outside of best original score, because 100% I would nominate this for best picture, best director, best actor, like 100% best actor, probably winning best actor. If anything, best actor, picture, and director. That's what it would win, in my opinion. Best adapted screen. It would have to be adapted screenplay because the Bible, you know. So best adapted screenplay and best cinematography, like 100% best cinematography, and you know, best makeup and hairstyling. I'll give it best makeup and hairstyling as well. You know, at least those, like that's what I would nominate for right off the bat. So what do you have there? Picture, director, actor, screenplay, cinematography, and makeup and hairstyling. And I guess if it was there at the time, best casting for sure. If it was there at the time, and that's what I would do. After that, maybe best editing. It got best score, so I'll give it best score in this hypothetical sense. And that's really about it. That's from what I would. Best production design will be a dream. Honestly, that'd be pretty good. You know, I'm thinking should it be nominated for best editing? That one I don't know, to be honest with you. Like, there's part of me that wants to say yes, but I think that'd be a little bit too much. But then again, for one of the best stories of all time, maybe it should just go all the awards and go that way. It's kind of a little bit ironic where the most nominated movie of all time is called Sinners. You know, in that sense, that's like, ugh. And Sinners is a great movie. Don't get me wrong, but like I'm now thinking about Sinners versus, you know, Jesus Christ, you know? But that's basically it in that regard for that conversation. Yeah, I do find it crazy just in general that this is one of those movies that basically got shut out. And I almost have to imagine part of the reason it got shut out is because, I mean, I think Mel Gibson, this is when he was getting controversial around that time. I'm trying to think, like, I feel like, do Jesus stories in general often get nominated at the Oscars? I have no idea about the greatest story ever told. The King of Kings was before the Oscars were a thing, back in 1927, so like right there on the cusp of it, so that's a definite no. So yeah, so it's like Franco Zeffirelli's, that's a miniseries, so that wouldn't have been nominated. So I'm trying to think, like, do Jesus stories or biblical stories in general get nominated for Oscars? I think that's the better question. There's a reason why there's another movie called The Greatest Story Ever Told about Jesus. Let's just go with that. You know, this is the greatest story ever told. This is the best story in all of history. How Jesus died on the cross for our sins, for our salvation. If you haven't repented, if you haven't surrendered to God, do it now. It'll be the best decision you've ever done. You know, go to church, read your Bible, and just carry your cross as He carried His cross for us. You know, put everything at the foot of the cross. At that point, eternal salvation will be yours for the taking. You know, so go out there, do that, surrender to Him. Be the best decision you ever made. Of course, this is an incredible movie. As I said, probably one of my favorite movies of all time. Top 15, top 25, somewhere around there. So yeah, that's basically for now. This is Daniel Mart, signing off. And thank you, Jeremy Johnson, for giving me the idea to follow up with you.